I'll be remembered, but will you? From McDonald's, the baddest that I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. You always win, there's no going under. The top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If you dreamt before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it, let us survive. Show courage and strength, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you, always stay prepared. Bill Showman School, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.
Welcome to the Bearded Beast Show. My name is Bill, and I am the Bearded Beast. Today, I got a special guest. We've been trying to put this together for a little while, but here we are. Mickey Severson, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Do me a favor. Give my listeners a little bit of a background about yourself. You know, you got a lot of history. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, so it's going to be fun.
All right, cool. It says on the book, I wrote a book called We Did Not Deserve the Crapper, The Prison We Entered But Never Left, and it says Gene Bennett. Here's the thing. I was named after my father. My father is Eugene Bennett Jr. I'm the third. My mother's side of the family hated his guts. So I'm getting ready to be born on December 21st. I'm a fetus at the time. My mother is high out of her mind on pain meds because I was a little asshole even as a fetus. And she's watching the Mickey Mouse Club high on pain meds because I'm not in the mood to come out because it's like, wow, this is a dumpster fire. So she's watching the Mickey Mouse Club, high out of her mind on painkillers. She apparently asked me if I wanted to be called Mickey while she was watching the Mickey Mouse Club. Apparently, I kicked once for yes, and she nicknamed me Mickey. And because my mother's side of the family hated my father, that's what they kept calling me after I was born. They refused to call me Eugene. So yeah, and that is in the book.
All right, so tell us your military service. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I never had the courage to do it myself, and without individuals like you, I would not have the freedom to do what I'm doing right now. So I do truly appreciate it. I'm not just saying that; I truly do. Give us some background. So you wrote the book, right? And you call it.
Right.
You referred it to something like the. You said something about a babysitting or something, right?
Because the main thrust of the book is my time in Baghdad as a prison guard, and we were the only internment facility in all of Iraq to house juveniles. So I called it the worst babysitting job ever, because they were in fact as proficient at killing each other as the adults were.
Wow,
they really were.
So what was that like? I mean, that had to be some scary times then, right?
We were outnumbered 50-1 in the prison.
Wow.
It was 135 degrees with the humidity because we were right on the Euphrates-Tigris River when there was still a river there. The Euphrates River is almost dried up, so all your Christians who are into the end times are freaking out a little bit, you know. But yeah, when it had water in it, the humidity was ungodly. It was horrible. We'd have what's called swamp ass, where you'd have sweat running down the crack of your ass, and then you'd have sweat running down that bone in your forearm and dripping off your pinky at 5 in the damn morning. And
wow,
if that was happening, you were having a bad day. And it was 12-hour shifts. Plus, you were working out to get the stress out of your system, and you were working out just because you were just so angry and you were wanting to be amped up to deal with the problem detainees every day, you know. So it was just work out, stand on the catwalk, you know, sit down in the zone with the detainees, and just get through a shift without, you know, a riot or whatever, you know. So yeah, it was a dumpster fire, dude.
Now,
it really was.
Now, how long did that go on for? Because see, in normal life, right, as we just sit over here and we continue to live, like we just live our normal day, we don't take into consideration what you guys are possibly going through wherever you are in the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay, here's the thing about that was my second deployment. My first deployment was what we call a gravy deployment. It was so easy. It's like at one point I'm like, do I really deserve combat pay? But I was broke, so I obviously accepted it. The prison guard, the prison guard, what we call detainee ops portion of that mission happened on my second deployment. I was with 3 different units, so it was the first part of the second deployment. So the problem was all that trauma, all that dysfunction happened then, but I still stayed. My second deployment was, I want to say 20 months, give or take a week or two. So all that stupidness happened in the first part, and then I stayed the other 15-ish months, and I just what we call numbed out. I never dealt with anything, so I just numbed it out and stuffed it down for 15 months, and then I came home and I was miserable. I mean, I'm miserable now because I'm struggling to get stuff done, but to say I was in a bad headspace. I've got friends that were like, yeah, you have no idea how bad of a headspace he was in. I mean, between dealing with my demons and fighting with the VA to the point where I've literally, apparently there's this thing called a disruptive behavior committee coordinator, and I cursed her up one and down the other. I've cursed out caseworkers. Yeah, it's been bad.
Yeah, well, I've heard some bad stories about the VA.
All the horror stories you've heard are true, and you still don't know the half of it. Wait till you get to the epilogue in the backside of the book, and you read about the horror stories in the VA when I have to call a congressman on a caseworker, and if it was a prison scenario, the congressman is the brand new prison girlfriend, and the VA is 350 pounds of sexual chocolate. So yeah, all the horror stories you've heard are true, and you just still don't know the half of it.
All right, so here's something I don't understand, right? We call ourselves the greatest nation in the world, right? United States.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the deal then with us not taking care of our military members when they come back from deployment?
Here's the problem with that, okay? You've got people who are stateside in the military and they don't deploy. And then you've got people who do deploy and they call themselves combat veterans. And then you've got stolen valor, which is a whole nother mess altogether. They ruin everything for everybody. Stateside or garrison is you're just in perpetual rehearsal mode to deploy. When you deploy, it's not better or worse. It's just it's your mindset permanently shifts. It permanently shifts to that combat mode because you've been through it. And once you go through enough combat, you can't go back to garrison because it's like this is the most soul-sucking boredom humanly possible. And the problem is the American public has this romanticized garrison stateside visual attitude or idea of what the veteran is. The combat veteran is not that, and the problem is the civilians and some of the veterans that prop up the civilians to look good in the veteran community. They make it harder for us combat veterans to get the help we need because we are not these sweet, loving, rah-rah, sis-boom-bah people. We've seen the worst humanity has to offer, and we're not in the mood to candy coat it for these people. And then they get pissed off when we're not this romanticized caricature of what they think we should be. Okay. It's sort of like you or I as men lecturing women, having this rosy idea of what childbirth is for a woman. We just barf that up all over her and disrespect her out of being tone deaf and stupid and ignorant, Yep. So that's the problem. We have too many stateside veterans, or veterans we call them slick sleeves. They're not so much the problem as the celebrity part of the veteran community who props that up to benefit themselves. That's a big part of the problem. We don't have veterans and civilians that are sitting down and having some real talks where you sit down and have a beer and you have conversations that will leave you going, holy crap, how have you not gone on a killing spree? That's the problem right there. The real veterans, I shouldn't say real veterans, the veterans who have deployed, we haven't adequately destroyed that romanticized rah-rah, sis-boom-bah friggin' caricature of what a veteran is, because they're two different things and they're not better or worse. They're just, when you go down range, and you get shot at and you almost get blown to bits, that changes you forever. It permanently, for better and for worse, adjusts your mindset, whether you like it or not. And that's what the American public has not come to terms with.
Right.
So
because
that's the problem.
Unless we experience it, we can't really understand it. Right.
Right.
For me though, I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself as you're telling your story that we have no idea the things that you've seen, what you've had to go through. You've definitely seen the worst in humanity, right? But when you come back, I mean, they know what veteran has deployed and who hasn't, right? So why isn't there different types of treatment then?
Here's the thing. Okay, I'll go back to that caricature. The VA. Here, I'm going to say this from my experience, and it's in the epilogue of my book. If you don't have insurance, you get bottom of the barrel, bare minimum care. Okay,
but why is that? Why is that when all of our politicians get the best?
Well, that's because politicians they have no right to call themselves servants of the people, because there's no true servant that gives themselves pay raises and benefits increases. When it first started out in Congress, if I understand correctly, the only thing they got was cost of living like a stipend, like a cost of living allowance kind of a thing, like per diem. Basically, that's all they got. But they've been giving themselves pay raises forever, and they're making themselves millionaires. We as veterans don't have that authority. We don't have that power, and no veteran in his right mind in the VA health, if he or she has insurance, good insurance, they are not in the VA system.
Right.
Okay. They simply aren't, for complex and difficult problems to solve. The VA is one size fits most, and if it doesn't fit you, screw you. That's their attitude. And I at one point, I will go to my doctor when I talk to her once a year, and I call her Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, that nasty skank, I'm serious. And when we were going through COVID, she literally talked to me she condescended to me like I was a child, and her nurse literally put the mask on my face and treated me like I was a child. And it was that's when and I did, when I had a podcast, I interviewed one guy named Lewis Anderson. He would literally they've literally told him to go home and die. He has prostate cancer, and he was a prior CV County Veteran Service officer. So when they put him down and told him to go home and die, that came from big VA. That came from on high. He is a dead man walking, or in reality, he's a dead man in a wheelchair. I have a guy, I can't remember his name right now because my brain's kind of fried, but I interviewed him. He named his damn doctor, and his doctor told him to commit suicide, and he literally prescribed him enough. His name is Chad. He literally prescribed my guy Chad enough morphine to kill him.
That's unbelievable. Literally. I did watch some of those videos, and what I was listening to blew my mind. Like, I couldn't even fathom and comprehend, because that's what they do when people go in hospice, right? They just start eventually dosing them up with morphine so their bodies and organs shut down. When I heard that, it just blew my mind to think it really does bother me, because as Americans, we would not be allowed the freedoms that we have if we didn't have individuals like you who fought for them. So why is it that you're some of the worst treated people in society? It goes back to that romanticized suck it up attitude that the civilian telling me to suck it up is like me lecturing a woman on how her uterus works. It's just, we have to destroy that romanticized caricature, that picture of what a veteran is. And that involves real talk. And the problem with us as combat veterans is we are protecting you from the dysfunction that we have experienced, whether you like it or not, out of just sheer desperation. And that's where the isolation comes from, dude. If we're isolating you, or we're isolating from you, that means on a limbic system, barbarian, instinctive level, we are protecting you from the dysfunction that we've seen. Right. Whether
you like it or not, it's a blind instinct, and it's where we're at the end of ourselves as people. I mean, I've had my caseworker called the cops on me because he thought I was suicidal, the one thing he did that I actually love and respect him for, that he hasn't pissed me off, is when I caught COVID last January and it brought pneumonia along for the ride, the emergency room doctor at the VA gave me all the wrong stuff, and I know they gave me all the wrong stuff because the civilian hospital that I was sent to told me they gave me all the wrong stuff. My caseworker literally rerouted me to the civilian hospital so the VA wouldn't basically finish me the hell off. Okay. So, but yeah, we need to have conversations. The combat veterans need to have conversations with the right people and say, you are about to get the realest shit. You are about to have the realest talk. You're going to wonder how I am not gone on a killing spree, and we need to have that kind of that's what the book is for. Like there are stories in there, like you'll read one story in part 3, you will never look at a colostomy bag the same way ever again after that story, and the thing is the combat veterans need to have a talk with the civilians and have that kind of talk along with the book. And then the combat veterans, the rank and file combat veterans need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk with the celebrity faction of the veteran community because they are pissing in our Cheerios. They're using us. They're using the prestige and of the veteran, the rank and file veteran community to make it, and then they just ghost us. And it's because they're sucking up to you, the civilian, and using the romanticized caricature of what we are to get their paycheck, to get their money, and they don't care that we're collateral damage. But I can't. I'll tell you a story here, just that'll kind of help you understand how I as a veteran, operate. And I'm gonna catch hell for it because it's what we call a boot camp story. But because I'm deployed, I'm not gonna get too much. I'm not gonna get my nuts busted too hard. Okay, we're gonna call this the yes sir, no sir, fuck you sir story. So my senior drill instructor walks in, last day of boot camp, I'm in shape because I'm 18, I'm a Marine, and they ripped 50 pounds of fat off of me. He says, you know what? The battalion commander said he wants to be the first one to call you Marines. You know what? Fuck him. I trained you. I'll do it. Good morning, Marines. We sounded off like we had a pair. Mm-hmm. He asked another question, and he said, I can't remember what he said. I can never remember the question he asked me, but we did not sound it off like we had a pair. And he said, these are from a communication standpoint, from a respect standpoint, these are the most beautiful words I've ever heard, and I will take them to my grave with me. He said, yes, sir, no, sir, fuck you, sir, give me something. And most dumbasses get caught up in the superior subordinate dynamic. That's not it. This is the most basic form of human respect one human being can give another, and that is acknowledgement. Okay? And we as a veteran community we really suck at properly acknowledging each other. And it's not like we have to go back to that military mindset, but we need to get back to the basics of communication and respect where we acknowledge each other and we don't blow each other off. Mm-hmm. That's what we got to get back to. And I think that's what we got to get back to as a society, because we're imploding, dude. I don't know if we're even going to make it to 2024.
Well, I mean,
at the rate we're going.
They've done exactly what they wanted to do, right? They've created chaos and division.
Oh,
I mean, that's what this COVID and everything was. People could sit here and say, well, masks did nothing. Yes, they fucking did. They divided us, mm-hmm. right? When you went out, you saw which team each player was playing for, right? Mm-hmm. And if you walked into a store and God forbid you didn't have a mask on, holy shit, man. Dude, but it was our options as an American and our freedoms to decide if we wanted to wear one or not. But they can say, well, okay, eventually the masks didn't do anything. Yeah, they didn't do anything to prevent the disease. Mm-hmm. But they did exactly what they wanted them to do and pick the players for each side and cause that division.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to throw a couple things at you. First of all, because I'm diabetic, I'll tell you that if we can cram the time in there, I'll tell you about my 2-day diabetic coma that permanently fixed my attitude towards health and fitness. I'm
diabetic also.
Cool.
I discovered that when I had COVID. I had no idea I had diabetes, but they found it in the hospital.
Right. And that's the thing. If you're diabetic, you're not a carrier. You're getting it, and you're getting sick as a dog. Mm-hmm. But no, in the automotive industry, it's still this component is still very much in the diesel industry, but it's not in the automotive industry anymore. It's called an EGR valve, exhaust gas recirculation. Okay, what it does is it recirculates exhaust gases back into the cylinder, into the engine, into the cylinders to be reburned and Consequently, your engine runs a lot hotter when they do that. And that mask is like an EGR valve. Not all of the carbon dioxide is expelled. You suck some of it back in over and over and over again, and you make yourself more vulnerable to getting sick again.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care about that. And here's the thing, they're still doing this to us at the VA. They're still treating us like I did some research on Adolf Hitler, and he had one of the guy who ran the SS. His name was Ernst Röhm, and if I want to piss off the VA, I'm like, Ernst Röhm would be proud of the mass Nazi you have become. So, and I always said to the civilians, hey, when I was on active duty, God only knows what they all pumped into me in the name of being a guinea pig. It's your turn to be a guinea pig now. I'm proud to be a pureblood. I haven't been vaccinated, and I'm really glad too, because now you got people just dropping dead from heart problems, and don't worry about that. No, I'm proud to be a pureblood, and I'm proud that I got through it and I got natural immunity. And I'm not apologizing for it, because if I preserve these people's freedoms to do what they want, they're telling me squat. They're telling me nothing. So there you go.
You're right, and I constantly continue to tell people that personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion, and what I mean by that is, when you can become personally excellent in all areas of yourself, which I mean fitness, health, your mindset. They want us fat, right? They want us unhealthy. They want us to rely on the drugs to take to coincide with the diseases that they are creating. They know exactly what are in these foods that they produce, and they know what it does to our body. But here you go. Here's some pills to help you with your diabetes or whatever it might be, right? And instead of learning the process to, I don't want to take this medication the rest of my life. What do I need to do? Oh, fitness, lose some weight, do some what? When you start walking, your blood sugar levels can drop. All that exercise and fitness can help out. But they don't want to teach you that. They just want to throw you. They want to pump you, because it's easier to control less amount of people, right? So wasn't that what COVID was all about, right? We eliminate, especially the elderly, who are a draw in the system. They're no longer productive people in society. They're not paying income taxes and everything like a person who's going to work every day. So it really, there was an old movie called Sawyer Brown. Don't know if you ever saw it or not, but it was about them turning the elderly people into those wafers, and people would eat them, but they didn't know it was the elderly people. And I truly believe that was a part of COVID. But if they can control a smaller portion of people are easier to control than a large amount.
Well, yeah, and the fat, it's not only a smaller amount, but the people that you're controlling, as long as they're fat, dumb, and compliant out of peer pressure. Here's the thing. Let me explain a little something about COVID. Again, when I went, the only thing, I don't know why my caseworker did it for me, but he did it for me, and I love him for it. He sent me to a civilian hospital. They told me, dude, they're not supposed to be giving you this crap. No, back to the diabetes thing real quick. The metformin that I was on, they had to do a massive recall at the VA because most of the metformin formulations had high percentages of cancer-causing agents in them. I go to the lady at the pharmacy, and she's like, "Oh, you've only been taking it a year." Yeah.
Is that all?
Fun fact. That's all. Your average VA doctor represents the bottom 30 to 50% of any given graduating class, because they don't have to be certified or licensed in any given state. They only have to be licensed federally, and federal standards are predominantly lower than individual state standards. Okay. And that's the thing. I had a friend whose father was spec ops, Vietnam era spec ops, and he was a whistleblower up in Wisconsin for this whole scandal about over medication. The pharmacy at the VA in Tomah, Wisconsin was literally called Candyland.
Wow.
Okay. And it was, just let your imagination go, because the horror story was legit. And once I literally told my doctor, I'm like, screw you. I'm going to I told him I found something called berberine. That's a nice alternative to metformin. I'm having to pay for it myself because if you don't have insurance and the VA doesn't want to give it to you, they won't give it to you. They'll simply say some VA regulation or federal regulation, or they always say the science doesn't support it. We can't find any science to support it. They're not looking. Okay. And if I ever wanted to better myself to get off the meds, then I became a problem. That way, once you become a problem veteran in the VA healthcare system, you get nothing. You get the minimum. You're basically told, like, I literally one day I discovered I had a hernia. Right, I'm doing a set of crunches. This big football-sized lump in my gut appears. I'm like, well, that's not natural. So I go to my VA doctor, and she's like, you know what? Well, it's not big enough to operate on. We'll monitor it. If it explodes, let us come on in and let us know, and we'll shove it back in for you.
Oh my God.
So yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's a horror. Basically, if the public at large knew what one pair the universal healthcare looks like, it's the VA will be the prototype, will be the framework for that. And once these people have to fight tooth and nail for mediocre ass care from doctors who are nothing, and I mean nothing but pill pushers, that's when the revolution will begin. Because once these people who love their free stuff start dying because the doctors are killing them from, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I had a friend of mine in the book. He's the Mr. Blonde character. That's why I said that my promise was not fully kept, because he died before I got it published. The VA up in Boston basically killed him because he caught bone cancer. He beat bone cancer. COVID shows up and brings back COVID for a rematch, or bone cancer for a rematch. He was trying to do the holistic thing. The people, the doctors up at the VA in Boston, Mass, were just shoving pills down his throat, and they were doing the chemo even though he didn't want it, and they said they basically wiped their ass with his wishes. They wiped his ass with his requests. And I'm going to say this will get me in trouble, but I don't care anymore. I'm willing to bet there are VA hospitals with you pile up all the kills that these doctors get through criminal negligence and apathy. They're right up there with Chris Kyle with his kill count,
Yep.
in Iraq, and that's why I show up once a year. I have my talk with them, and they talk to me like they condescend to me. They ask me if I want to deal with mental health, and after I dealt with them, I'm like, no, I've dealt with enough of your mediocrity. I'm going to come see you once a year for this annual checkup. And I told them, I've got a couple other things that I do through the VA that you managed to somehow not screw up, so we'll just stick with that,
Now I heard in your interview, and I forget who you were interviewing, but you both had mentioned if you miss your appointment, you're kind of done.
If you're not careful, if they really don't like you and you miss enough appointments, they can take you back to like if you've got VA disability, they can take you back to the disability board and try to get your benefits, your VA rating reduced. And I'm surprised, I'm shocked that mine hasn't been reduced yet, because I literally cursed out the what did I call it? The disruptive behavior committee coordinator, because I scream at these people and say, I need help with this, this, and this, and they just give me the absolute minimum. With the diabetes, it's just metformin and go home. And they send you to classes, and they basically talk down your nose to you like you're a retard. Like with the mental health, I was literally in a class where there was all these people who were literally high functioning, mentally disabled people, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is what you call care for me, really? And they don't do anything where they check your brain chemistry and see if you need something, because their solution to everything is just talk about it until you just don't want to talk to them anymore. And their attitude is one size fits most. If it doesn't fit you, screw you. They wouldn't for the VA, innovation and diagnosis are just absolute foul, perverse language. It's blasphemy to do anything other than throw pills at the problem, or just talk to you mindlessly in the same way over and over and over again and not actually care. They don't care if something works. They'll simply say, this is the option, take it or leave it. It doesn't matter if the option sucks. It doesn't matter if it fits or not. Take it or leave it.
See, and that's what I just don't understand, that how can we allow that to be okay in the greatest nation in the world?
It goes back to that romanticized attitude. It goes back to he's a veteran. He'll just suck it up and take it. He signed up for it, That's the problem.
You signed up to preserve our freedoms.
Yeah, and they don't have a clue of what that is because they've never been this close to having had it taken from them. They live the most and that's the horrible thing. We have preserved their freedom so well that they're too stupid to know that it's on the verge of being yanked out from under them.
We're getting close.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I've got a couple of intel buddies I've been talking with, and I'm saying right now we're in what's called the proxy war. We're in the proxy version of World War III. I've had a couple of intel buddies tell me flat out we're already in World War III. It's just proxy. It's all proxy and low key intel stuff. I'll dare say, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but China's been wheeling and dealing their asses off with everybody who'll listen, trying to swap out the dollar for the yuan. And I'm gonna call it right now that the suit either right before or right after the dollar is replaced as the worldwide reserve currency, the proxy. I'm gonna say the proxy war is over, and we're in the game. We're gonna start shooting at people, And my fear, a lot of the fear of the old veterans that I talk to is like, because the military has become so horribly woke, we'll probably learn. The sarcastic attitude is we'll lose a third of our standing army after the misgendering massacre in the opening days of the war, and then all the old GWAT guys, all the global war on terror guys are going to get dragged out of cold storage. That's the fear,
Well, here's my fear, and you have much more intel and intelligence about any of this than I do.
Yeah,
but my fear is that we're not only going to fight that war in other countries, I believe it's going to happen right here on our own soil.
Well, dude, they've already got Chinese communist police stations here in America that are they're catching Chinese nationals at the border, which is not even a border anymore. Oh yeah, it's going to be World War III. All these old timers that are like, hey, I got a DD-214. Yeah, World War nullifies and voids your DD-214, old man. So yeah, I mean, the border is basically open. There is no border.
But we've been selling China land forever, right?
Oh, I've been hearing crap about that, dude. They're buying farmland.
Why would we do that? They wouldn't let us buy land in their country.
Ask the diaper-filling man baby in the White House. Oh, by the way, I haven't forgiven him for the way he did Afghanistan, because I've got a good State Department source in the White House that says the word Afghanistan is not to be uttered within earshot of him. Well, here's the thing. I spent my first 4 years in the Corps. I was in 1st Battalion, 8th Marine Regiment from 94 to 98, so I'm an old timer, and I haven't gotten around to forgiving him for the way he did those guys. He did them dirty.
Oh, that was horrible.
I saw. I don't know if you saw the congressional testimony of the one Marine sniper who had eyes on, he had his finger on the trigger, he had him dead to rights, and the State Department. All I'm going to say, I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it. I got a guy who I used to talk to at Wounded Warrior Project before everything went south. Don't even get me started on them. He's going to be pissed at me, but I don't care. He was this squeaky clean voice of reason guy. Mm-hmm. He said, first of all, the fact that he accepted my help, to work with him to get stuff done, that was significant in and of itself. He again, squeaky clean voice of reason guy. I was usually the bad guy. He was usually the good guy. He said, fuck the State Department 10 ways from Sunday. The State Department, I mean, you can legitimately ask whose side they're on at this point, because based on what I heard from him and a couple other guys I was talking to way back when we were trying to get people out of it, we were trying to help people officially and unofficially get out of Afghanistan, was whose side is the State Department on? I mean, they were basically bending over and showing the Taliban their ass and say, give it to me harder, daddy. I mean, that's what I was hearing. I mean, the rank and file in the State Department, from what I heard, they did half-ass did what they could, but the brass at the State Department, we have every right to ask them, whose side are you on? Because it sure as hell ain't ours.
Right, because we have to agree that would have never happened under Donald Trump, right?
No. Here's the thing. That at this point in the next election, it's not going to be Democrat versus Republican. It's going to be businessman who can complete sentences coherently versus, again, I'm going to call. I'm kind of pissed. I'm kind of pissed off at the way he did First Battalion 8th Marine Regiment. It's really hard for me to forgive the diaper. I'm not voting for a diaper filling man baby who can't walk upstairs and complete sentences. And I mean, there's a band called Pearl Jam, and Eddie Vedder, he 75% of his lyrics are gibberish, you know?
Yeah.
And Joe Biden is basically a really old Eddie Vedder, dude. He just speaks 75% gibberish and walks around. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's human being with a properly functioning brain versus a diaper filling man baby. That's your choice.
All right, but do we get to the election in this country? Do we make it 2024?
I'm not sure, dude. This is the first time in my damn life. I'm not betting on it. I'm not saying it won't happen, but you can't take it to the bank that we're making it to 2024, because I have no people skills. No, all my friends and enemies alike will tell me I have no people skills whatsoever. I'm trying to get my other projects that I kind of mentioned in the book up and running, and I'm working my ass off on my people skills, and I'm not buying synthetic meat from that elitist jackass Bill Gates. A lot of my friends and I were doing. I mean, I never thought I'd see the day where I'm networking my ass off to buy chickens and build a chicken coop and outright buy a whole damn cow from a friend of mine who's a farmer. You know what I'm saying? I never thought I'd see the day when I have to do that because I don't know what the hell they're doing to my food.
Yep.
And going to Walmart at night when you're not strapped, is a dicey proposition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a hermit, and the only thing that's really saving me is there's civilians that know me that think I'm armed to the teeth and clinically insane. And you know what? You go ahead and think that. If it causes you to leave me alone,
yep,
cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. If we make it to 2024, that's as far as miracles go. That's right up there with feeding the 5,000 and the parting of the Red Sea, and that's not an exaggeration in my estimation at this point.
All right, so real talk. Give me your honest opinion.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to many people about this, and I've had conversations where everybody says, well, when push comes to shove, people will really stand up and they'll fight back. I honestly, personally don't believe that. I think a lot of people like to say that, right? But if they came knocking on your door and you knew exactly what you had to lose at that moment, are you really going to fight back? Are you going to be that person that said that said all the things that you said you were going to do right then and there, right? Because we can all sit behind a keyboard or a microphone or whatever it is, and we can say what we're going to do, right, until we're actually in that moment. I just don't really believe that we actually would. Enough of us would, I guess.
Right. Here's the thing. I think historically speaking, we are way overdue for a revolution. I'm not calling for it, obviously, but historically speaking, we're so overdue it's not even funny. But now here's the thing. The problem is there's a saying, forget waking up the sheep, start waking up the lions. And here's the thing. When you're downrange, you get these chicken hawks that run their mouth. Oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Once you get shot at, your higher brain functions shut off, and that barbarian limbic system portion of your brain kicks on, and you got three options. You got fight, flee, and everybody forgets about freeze, where your body just freezes solid. And I've had it happen to me that even before I deployed. these people, if they're the more they talk about what they say they're going to do, the more of a rude awakening they are in for when it comes time to actually do it. So the veteran community, all I'm going to say is, I don't know if you've seen some of these memes, like if World War III kicks off or the Second American Revolution kicks off, you got that picture of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome without them all hanging off the trucks and stuff.
Yeah, yep.
With my veteran brothers and sisters, all I'm going to say is believe that. The civilians, those are the chicken hawks we as veterans are scared of, because again, the more they talk about what they say they're going to do, you know, when they run their mouth with retarded enthusiasm, we're like, no, you go over there. You run your chicken hawk mouth and have your cute little militia revolution over there. You go over there. Leave us alone. You know, because you don't know what you're going to do until based on how much training you have and you know how much situational awareness you possess. You know, and everybody's different, but the veteran community. Yeah, we're gonna, if we're pushed hard enough, and it's more dangerous with us because we want to be left alone. If you screw with our mellow and you force us to engage, there will be no rules of engagement in that respect. So the veteran community, if we're pushed hard enough, we're going to start acting like we did downrange, and we're going to be even more gleeful because again, no rules of engagement. The civilian community, they'll chicken hawk and run their mouth, and they might join in after they think they figured out who's winning, and they'll leech on to the veteran community and the preppers and on all them that you know. But
here's what I wish the civilian community would do. You know, people like myself. If you don't believe in global communism, right? And one world government and the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and all this, you know, great reset of 2030, then we're on the same team. If you're not fighting for that shit, then we're all on the same team, right? But they continue to divide us with so many these little arguments, right? Black Lives Matters. You can go burn. How come you can burn down a whole city and nothing happens to you?
Right.
Why are we taking down statues that represent American history? They continue to divide us with these arguments that at the end of the day that we continue to fight against each other that really don't fucking matter, while they're pulling all their puppet strings behind the scenes and we got our eyes fucking closed. You know, and then everybody becomes woke, right? We talked about this. I mean, I don't know if you follow my page on Facebook or not, but I posted some stuff about the Anheuser-Busch can, right? I don't really drink beer, but I don't really think that we need certain things pushed down our fucking face all the time. I don't really think that any of that really belongs in the products that we're buying on a daily basis. I have no problem with somebody being transgender or homosexual, whatever you want to be, but just don't force it in my face when I go to the store and I want to buy something.
Right, and what that is, to me, that's a conditioning thing. They're doing it to test and see what they can get away with. They're pushing as hard as they can, and the problem is they control the narrative by sheer. I mean, most of these people who use the term like white supremacy, whatever. I got a neighbor who's got a tree he just cut down, and they would call that half rotten tree stump a form of white supremacy because they. Like if you I always use an automotive example. If you're building an engine, you have specifications. You have to know where you want to be in the tolerances to build the engine properly. They don't care about that. They just want control of the specifications. They want control of the process. They don't care if it actually works. They simply want control, and they want to push the good people as hard as they can. And then the lemmings are just going to follow along because lemmings are terrified of conflict. They're terrified of being wrong because they're lazy. They're mentally lazy, and they want people to think for them. And the woke think for them, okay? And people who think for themselves are deemed a threat. People who dare to have a different opinion and even question what are you even talking about? What you know? And that's the problem right there. So we need again. I hate to say this, but the sheep, the lemmings they're a lost cause. We got to wake the lions and be like, okay, let's have a conversation here to where I'm forcefully asking you questions and demanding answers from you that are not this. I used to call wokeness mental masturbation gone mad, but it's something far more insidious. The more I look at it, the more insidious it is. It's about control. George Carlin said it best. He said, control a person's words and you control their thoughts. Control a person's thoughts and you control them. You need the Lions, the Patriots need to stand up and say, you know what? We're going to sit down and have this conversation, and I'm not going to roll over for you. I'm going to ask you questions, and I don't give a damn what you think about me as far as being extreme. I don't care. You come from a group of people that allowed Black Lives Matter and Antifa to burn cities to the ground and kill people.
Yep.
Okay. But as soon as somebody's, and that's the problem with the pronouns,
right?
They change the definitions of the pronouns every 10 damn seconds. They don't actually care about what is. They simply want control. And we need to say to them, screw your control. Get over yourself. It's not all about you. You know, we need to have that kind of conversation with these people and say, no, you're done walking all over us. You're done calling us extreme just because you're the loudest mouth in the conversation. We're done with that crap. You're going to start answering questions. We need to destroy the concept of rhetorical questions because it makes you lazy. We need to make these people answer questions. I'm going to say this. My father's a Vietnam vet. He was spit on and called the baby killer coming home from Iraq, or from Vietnam.
That's insane to me. That's totally insane.
And here's the thing. Your pro-abortion people can here's the thing. The pro-abortion crowd, you know, the progressives, they do what the soldier has done since the dawn of time. You always dehumanize life to make it easier to kill it.
Right.
They will not call a fetus. They treat a fetus like a damn zombie that just has, you know. No, it's a life.
Absolutely.
I would literally. I've literally challenged pro-abortion people to sit down and watch a live abortion with me, and they run to the damn hills. I'm like, I wanted to ask him. I says, you know what? People like you were spitting on men like my father and my friend John coming home from Vietnam. You called them baby killer. Can I call you baby killer? Can I spit on you? Can you be intellectually consistent enough to take that? Those are the kinds of conversations we need to have with people where, like, we challenge them on their criteria for what constitutes any given thing. We challenge them to where, like, oh, crap, I've got to answer questions. I've got to think. I can't barf up platitudes and run away. That's what needs to happen.
Right. Well,
that's how we fight back.
Too many of these damn people get involved in shit, right, just because it's popular. They don't even know what the hell they're fighting for.
Oh, hell no.
A lot of these people, these pro-abortion people, don't even understand the concept of what we're talking about. They want to use it as birth control, right? They laid down, they made a decision, now they decide, oh, shit, I don't really want that responsibility right now, so let me do this. Well, no, guess what? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
We all have to be responsible for our actions. But there becomes a point in time once conception happens that, no, I'm sorry, there is no longer an ability to abort that baby. That is a living human life.
I talked to Alveda King on Messenger once, and she is hated by everyone who was in her family for the most part because she did not follow that race pimp victim mentality. So she's hated. And like I said to her, I says, yeah, I've asked people to sit down and watch an actual abortion with me and say, hey, how is that healthcare? How is that ripping that baby limb from limb healthcare? Okay. They don't even know. Here's the thing. They would call me a baby. I literally had a dude. It was 2009, 2010. I just got home from Iraq. I got home, I want to say Christmas Eve, day 08. I landed. About a year or two later, it was in Wisconsin. It was winter. It was cold as hell. I was standing in front of my Jeep. It was warming up. There's nobody with 150, 200 feet of me. This dude, he rolls up to the outer gate on the side of the building where we'd exit on the side as opposed to going out towards the front. He's like, "You suck," and he takes off. I'm like, "Wait a minute, what the hell?" And so yeah, the attitude of these people has not changed. It's the tactics in which they display their attitude. They still hate us. They just changed up their tactics in expressing it, you know. So yeah, these people are always going to be hateful. The only thing, they're not going to change what's in their hearts. They're not going to look in the mirror and say, "Man, I was wrong. Man, I was disrespectful. Man, I'm not as loving and tolerant as I run my mouth about being. I'm just going to change my tactics in how I display my hatefulness towards anybody who just has the audacity to have a different opinion from me." So that's once I realized that, I gave up on reasoning with these people altogether. They're lemmings. They are automatons. They are sheep. They cannot be reasoned with. I want to reason with them, but I see them for the lemmings that they are. These people, they're like the diaper filling man baby. I've never heard a coherent sentence out of them that wasn't a talking point from somebody else. They've never had an original thought in their life that involved them doing any soul searching. Once you realize that, it's like they're irredeemable. They cannot be reasoned with.
So what happened?
Once you realize that.
So what happened then? Did social media give them too much power?
Social media gave them the right to talk shit without any consequences. I remember I saw this one shirt. I love it. And it's like, civilized people are more disrespectful because there's no fear of them having their skull split. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. There's no fear of violence. And they also they call basically your average progressive I figured out what their criteria is for, like if they say, "Oh, you're harming us," or anything that falls short of bootlicking idol worship is violence. Okay? Anything that hurts their feelings in any given nanosecond is violence. They would never open up a dictionary that's not Wikipedia where they just modify it to make it whatever they want to make and say this is what violence is. Okay? They will not they're not capable of expending that much mental energy. They go into college. They're terrified. They are what happens when the participation trophy generation doesn't get the participation trophy. They become enraged when they don't get their damn trophy. And to get the trophy, you do what you're told. You think what they're told to think. They are so terrified of conflict and of being wrong in any way, shape, or form. They're so terrified of being questioned to where they have to think. Most of these people have a short-term, the attention span somewhere between a dumb dog and a toddler.
No, you're 100%.
They don't have the capacity to think.
You're 100% right.
They don't have
I'll tell you what. Yeah. Another problem is the colleges. The shit that they're teaching these kids today and the way they come out from opposed to when they went in. I mean, teaching them that America isn't great. Your parents suck. Your parents lied to you your whole life. Mm-hmm. I mean, they really take they try to pit them against the country and their own family. I truly believe that.
Well, here's the thing about collectivism. The collectivism is all about collective guilt, except when it applies to them. Okay, when they want to barf up their hatred and guilt trip an entire ethnicity, fine. But when you question them, forgive me, I'm going to get a little bit biblical on you because I am in North Carolina. I am in the biblical South. Ezekiel chapter 18 and verse 20. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. That is Bible speak for everyone will own their own individual shit. Okay? So when you go to them and say, what about your rotten behavior? Oh, no. That's what you got to put back on them. You say to them, no, I'm not paying for the sins of all these other people because I didn't do that. What about you? What have you fomented? What violence have you fomented? What protests have you engaged in that have accomplished absolutely nothing? Because symbolism is for lazy, stupid people who cannot articulate themselves. The kneeling thing, they're too lazy and stupid to articulate themselves. That's just the long and the short of it. I wrote a damn book. I had a GED. I have no writing experience outside of high school. Yet I still wrote a book. I don't want to hear their excuses about why they can't articulate themselves. They are lazy and or stupid. Okay. These people want control, they want power, and they don't care who they alienate, demonize, or otherwise shit all over to get it. That's the bottom line.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I agree with you, but I can't stand back and live in a country that allows men to pretend they want to be women and go dance their shit in front of children and walk into women's locker rooms. And we know that all goes fucking bad, right? We know it goes bad.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, we are getting to a point where I'm actually like, I'm at a point where once they're pushing, they're like toddlers discovering limits. Okay, they really are. They're messing with the children right now.
Yeah,
and people are starting to get pissed off to the point where I'm like, oh wow, this is about to get ugly. I'm like, I'm talking duck for cover ugly. Okay, we're right on a tipping point, and that's where they want us. But the thing is, 2024 for me is that's going to determine the fate of our country. And the problem is, again, these people are basically high functioning toddlers, and they are pushing. They're finding there's a limit. I'm going to push it, and I hope I get pushback. I'm telling you right now, they need to stop because. Like with the veterans, we don't care about ROE. We laugh at the idea of ROE, okay? But we want to be left alone. But if we're pushed hard enough, we're going to go to a place that you don't want to go to where we know where we're going to go.
And that's probably most average Americans, right? We just want to be left alone. So why do you got to push us so bad? But they're doing that
because
now with the children, right? Those are the most vulnerable minds at the moment, kids.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can,
they're not afraid of us yet.
But I
that's the problem,
and I don't have a problem with men dressing as women, drag queens. Okay, I don't have an issue with it. Right. I'm not saying I'm against any of those things. But here's the issue I do have. I don't believe that you need to go to libraries and read to little children. I don't believe that for 1 second. You know, you can do whatever you want to do behind closed doors, or you can have your own little party someplace else. But why are you trying to go after the most manipulated minds that are available to you right now, who that you can try to push your agenda on, right? They're vulnerable. They're learning. Their brains haven't developed yet.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing about that. Here's what I'm going to say about that. They always, in the beginning, activists like this, we just want acceptance. We just want da-da-da-da-da. No, activists never just want acceptance. Activists want power. They want control. I remember one of the first books I read when I was a young kid. I read Animal Farm. These people are the pigs. They are the pigs. They are betraying whatever principles they claim they have. Okay. They don't care about children. They care about controlling the children. They care about upending Western civilization because they hate it, because they were trained to hate it. They're told to hate it. They haven't had an original thought in their damn lives. They hate Christianity, so they don't want to. They don't want to understand Christianity. They want to hijack it. They want to control it, and they're egomaniacs. They want to be worshipped. They want to be adored because they didn't get what they want as children. So they're taking it. They are high functioning children. They are high functioning drama queens. They want to be worshipped. They want to be adored, and they don't care what they have to do to get it. They don't care who they have to alienate to get it. They don't care who they have to demonize to get it. And if they're burning whole cities down to the ground, they don't care who they have to kill to get it. They are every bit the baby killers they would call me. They are every bit the murderers they would call me.
Worse.
And we need,
worse.
Exactly.
The veterans fought for our freedoms. They're fighting for the exact opposite.
Oh yeah, and I mean, there was I was doing some research for the book when I started looking up a guy named Ernst Röhm, who was, by the way, gay. Like gay. He and Hitler, if you read about it, he and Hitler were basically low-key lovers. Okay. They were low-key gay lovers. And Ernst Röhm, do you know what the percentage of the population of World War II, pre-World War II Germany was actually Nazis?
No, I didn't.
7%.
Wow.
7%. That's it. That's all it took for them because, we had them on. Here's the thing. You remove the women, you remove the children, you remove the old, you remove the mentally handicapped, you remove the physically diseased.
Yep.
The Nazis aren't all that outnumbered, if at all.
Yep.
Okay. Plus they're armed, they're trained, they're organized. Okay. So, yeah. And that's the thing. Ernst Röhm would be proud of the modern progressive. He would. He would love them. They are everything he wanted the SS to be pre-World War II Germany. Oh, and by the way, when Hitler got what he needed out of him to establish control over Nazi Germany, Hitler didn't even kill Ernst Röhm himself. He just sent a couple of his lieutenants to do it. He didn't even think enough of So,
wow.
But yeah, Ernst Röhm would be proud of the progressives who are burning cities to the ground. He'd be proud of the VA who treats us like children and talks down their noses to us and denies us care, especially they'll deny you care if they do like you. God help us if God help you if they don't like you. Okay, so yeah, we need to get to a point where when average Joe citizen gets pissed off to where it's like, oh wow, they're awake now. Oh wow, they're engaged now. The guy I thought was a lemming is now pissed off. It's going to take that because, people don't know what they're capable of until they put on. It's like a pressure relief valve, you know?
Yeah.
You don't know what you're capable of until you reach that level of pressure where your brain, where that intellect kicks off and that barbarian limbic switch turns on. That's when things are going to get ugly. Okay. Well, and the veteran knows that better than anybody. So we're at a point, we're waiting for these people to push us to that point. And then all I'm going to say is things will get ugly on a level they don't know what hell is yet. But if they push us to that point, they're going to learn. And then they're going to be like that child that smacks somebody. And that when that somebody else knocks their teeth out, they're going to turn into the victim. It's exactly what they do. We're going to beat them to the point
already, right? They claim to be the most victimized group in society when they're actually the most protected.
Here's the thing. I'm at a point with these people. I'm forgive me for saying it like this. I think these people. I'm convinced these people are almost training themselves to have orgasms when they're offended. Literally. I think they get off on. I think they literally want to get off.
I think you're
on being offended. I think they're like some funky ass masochists who enjoy pain and they enjoy oppression and they enjoy the attention they get from perceiving themselves to be oppressed because they want to be worshipped and adored. They're egomaniacs. They're needy, attention whore egomaniacs who don't care about anything other than getting their attention fix. Literally, that's what I think of them at this point.
I totally agree with you. And I didn't get to a lot of the questions I wanted to ask you, but I got to start coming. Yeah. I got to start winding the show down a bit. But I want to bring you back on so I can get into the list of questions. It's nice that we didn't even touch on those, and we just had a real talk conversation. So Dude, I'm sure you're open to coming back, right?
Oh, absolutely. Here's the thing. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about because here's the thing. In the process of writing my book, you got the brain, you got the mouth, and then you got that filter. In the process of spending 10 damn years writing the book, if you ever write a book, you will come to view the filter between your brain and your mouth as this horrible obstacle to get the most raw and authentic content out. I'll talk about anything. I'll answer any question you want because
I wrote one. You want me to send it to you?
What's that?
I wrote one. Do you want me to send it to you?
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And then on the first of the month, I'll order some books. I'll send you one and we'll swap books and we'll talk about it because here's the thing. If I can help my veteran brothers and sisters write a book and get the catharsis they need from it, I'm also doing a couple other projects like a cookbook, which is completely by accident because I missed the sarcastic part of the when they told me to write a cookbook, completely missed it because I was so trying to suck up to them and get them to publish my book that I'm writing a cookbook, and it is like literally this. You can't make it any more simple than what I have, and I'm going to work with a chef to class it up a little bit, you know.
Nice.
And I'm working on what I will simply refer to as a hybrid brick oven smoker.
Yep.
It's you'll be able to cook anything you want in it. And I'm also doing what I call a writer's guide. In the military, we have what's called an AAR, after action report. It's going to be a psychological editor kind of a thing where I'm teaching you how to get what's in your brain into the laptop or into the notebook as authentically and intact as possible, so you can just barf up your soul.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's those are my contributions to the veteran community, because everybody right now is doing beer, T-shirts, and moto crap.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing wellness.
Yeah, you're right.
Like wellness, like catharsis, like getting stuff out of your soul and getting comfort food into your gut. And in the cookbook, I'm going to put some other stuff to where, like, you can go. I'm going to get my trainer to do. I'll get you guys into kettlebells, and I'll get you guys into working out to where you can get the rage out of your system, and you can eat healthier, and you can still eat good comfort. I'm trying to do like wellness on the simplest possible level. So whenever you want to do another part, let me know. I'll come on.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll work this stuff out together.
We got a lot to talk about, but before we end though, I did want to get your opinion on something. I did a podcast yesterday. Don't know if you saw it, but I talked about the Tucker Carlson and Fox and all that stuff, and you know, because that came as a big shock to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, give me your opinion. Here's my opinion. This is what I said in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe that you're going to start to see the two news networks work together now and try to bring some normalcy back to the country and society and calm things down a little bit, right? Because they want global communism. Right. They want one world government. But you can't, and I truly believe they're going to run Michelle Obama. What do you think?
I've been hearing they're going to run Michelle Obama. I mean, they cannot run the diaper filling man baby. And Kamala Harris, I don't even know what to think of her anymore, because her tell is she just laughs and she giggles like a child, and it's like, holy crap, they're gonna run her over. But I think that with Tucker Carlson, he was getting off script a little too much. He was off his leash, so to speak. So he was on his own program essentially. I mean, when they fire your executive producer, and they wouldn't even let him say goodbye to his audience.
No, I know. He thought he was coming back on Monday.
Well, and that's the thing. What I think is happening is they're purging anything. I mean, again, these people will just define stuff however they want, and they don't want to be challenged. They don't want to be challenged, so they're just going to decide what conservatism is and what liberalism is, and they don't. If you challenge them, they'll just change the definition, so they're never called in their BS. So I've been hearing about this thing called a parallel economy, and I see Tucker becoming a part of that parallel economy with other conservatives, and I see us just like, you know what, screw you, we're out, peace out, do whatever you want, we're going to do our thing over here. Yeah, I think Tucker Carlson is going to be a big part of that. Do you think he was trustworthy? He was pretty trustworthy. I didn't agree with him on everything, but he had for a civilian, he had a big pair of balls, because nobody was going to say anything about January 6th like what he said. Right. They were going to say what they were told to say. They were going to think what they were told to think. Again, these people are lemmings, dude. They will think what they're told to think. And anybody, it's like that one movie, The Mummy, where one of the sidekicks has to literally act like a brain dead mummy to get past the other mummies who are brain dead. You know what I'm saying? And that's the conservative existence. That's basically anybody ideologically right of Bernie Sanders. You have to act like a retard around certain people and act like you don't think for yourself. And then when you get with your conservative brothers and sisters or whatever, anybody ideologically right of Bernie freaking Sanders, you know. It's like the Christian church in the early in like the early days of the Roman Empire. They were underground. You know, the conservative movement is going to go underground to reorganize, you know, because the liberals are just running things. Progressive, they they are doing whatever they want. They're running wild, and the only real problem I have with everybody else is like they're not starting to stand up and say, you know what, I'm getting really tired of you just manhandling everybody from a conversation standpoint. I got some questions for you. I want to challenge you, and I'm tired of you changing criteria to avoid being called on your bullshit. That's what we need to start saying.
So could you see a scenario like I was saying? Could you see CNN becoming a little bit more towards the middle, and Fox and CNN working together and calming everything down a little bit, right? Running Michelle Obama on the same platform that they ran Barack with, right? It was hope, change, and unity. But so you couldn't run her on those things if the world was still in chaos.
Oh yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, in this day and age, once you purge off anything that challenges the status quo, then the unity, and it's all mindless. It's all just do what you're told. Just do what you're told. Conform. It's the good cop, bad cop thing. You know what I'm saying? They're moving Fox towards the left a little to the center. They're moving CNN right towards the center, just for the sake of getting people to calm down. When they fomented Antifa and BLM burning cities to the ground, and now we want peace. Now that we've burned cities to the ground, now that we've killed people.
But that was pretty much under Trump, right? So they wanted to blame everything on him.
Well, that's the thing about it. I don't want to say you can't blame anything on Biden, because again, I keep calling him a diaper-filling man baby. You got to look at who's in the White House pulling the strings, because he is not. No, it's like they medicate him to the point. They medicate him to the point where it's like you almost swear they do it to get the meds. If we're bringing Michelle Obama, they want Joe Biden to look so. There are pictures that I've seen of him. He looks high out of his mind.
He does. Yeah,
I mean, literally, he looks like it's like they purposely make sure they dose his meds where they're just wearing off mid speech to where he starts. Yeah, it's crazy.
But even though he announced his re-election, right? There's no way you believe that he's going to be the person they put up there, right?
I'm sorry, I can't. No. I think they're gonna drop his dose a little more, so he just starts acting like his meds are wearing off a little bit more.
And they have.
I think they're gonna do that. They're gonna do that so they can cite the 25th Amendment and yank him. Right. Because the conservatives have been talking about the 25th Amendment yanking Biden since before the midterm, since before the first State of the Union, because he was so just diaper-filling man baby-ish. Okay, seriously. I mean, yeah, that's my thought. I think they're gonna let Biden just bumble and stumble and fall and speak gibberish to the point where they're like, okay, we can't run Biden. He literally can't even. He's not capable of functioning. Yeah, I think they're doing it slowly to make it look like a natural a natural degradation, whereas a point where they've been doing this to him, they've kept him medicated out of his mind to where he can function. And I think they're slowly lowering the meds to where he can function less.
That's what
I think this is definitely purpose.
I agree with you. That's what I talked about on my podcast, and I believe, and if she was to win, I then possibly truly believe they could maybe pull off their agenda of 2030. I mean, that's what they want, right? The Great Reset. Klaus Schwab, he's written the books about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the UN. The UN wants us completely neutered. My hope is that if Trump gets elected, that's it. The thing about it is you can't even present an alternative opinion to, the election potentially being tampered with. And conservatives aren't allowed to challenge Mike Pence on the way he did us. I mean, to treat the certification process like it's ceremonial when it's one of the most important aspects of American civic life, that offends me. That offends me to the core of my being, because he's basically go, oh well, they already certified it. No, certification is not ceremonial, dude.
Yep.
You certify that it's legit. Don't treat that like it's ceremonial, dude. No. That made me wonder about him.
And he's
really
running.
Yeah, he's not getting my vote.
No,
I'm sorry. He's partly responsible for the diaper filling man baby.
I mean, we have to. We got to think common sense, though, right? And every American needs to use some common sense and think, all right, they're saying that Joe Biden got, 20,000 more votes than Obama did when he had the largest votes ever in history. This guy couldn't get 12 people to show up to his speeches. Donald Trump was selling out arenas. How did he lose?
I'm still trying to figure out how he ran an entire. I'm still trying to figure out how he ran an entire campaign from his basement.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, here's the thing about him. Again, this is not Democrat Republican. This is human businessman with a brain that's functioning properly versus diaper filling man baby who can barely form two coherent sentences in a row. We need to look at the person. And for all the people who want to run their mouth about morality, about how immoral Donald Trump is, Joe Biden raised a son who got dishonorably discharged from the Navy for being a crackhead.
Yep.
Who they allowed this man to have access to state secrets while he was coking it up with hookers and strippers. Who the hell are these people lecturing on morality, anyways? I mean, when you have when your son's as a dishonorably discharged loser crackhead, and you're letting him have access to state secrets, you're letting him have access to sensitive information, and you're letting him run roughshod with snorting crack and doing hookers and strippers and whatever. Who the hell are you lecturing anybody on morality? You're nobody. I mean, Donald Trump, he's ill-mannered at best, or at work. He's ill-mannered, great. But his children are not crackhead losers.
100%.
They are not running. They're not running roughshod with strippers, hookers, and coke, and state secrets just flying all over the place. If you raised an idiot who leaves a laptop with that much sensitive information at a computer shop for the owner to open up and say, "Holy crap, look what he's got,"
Yep.
Again, here's the choice for 2024: businessman with a properly functioning brain, diaper-filling man baby who can barely utter two coherent sentences in a row.
Well, I think
that's the choice.
I think we can agree that we would vote for the same person. So,
I can't vote for the man who got 13 of my brothers killed and my brothers and sisters killed. I can't vote for him because I had to watch out for my guys who were in Afghanistan. They were in a bad headspace. Yeah, I'm struggling to forgive that.
We didn't get to talk about a lot of that, so we're going to do that. I'm going to reach out to you. We've been in communication a lot lately, so it'll be hopefully short. It'll be much shorter than longer from now that we get you back on. I didn't even get to touch basis on a lot of your questions that you gave me, so I want to go over those with you. But I enjoyed you.
We'll do that.
This was great. I really enjoyed you coming on. I enjoyed meeting you, talking with you. I look forward to reading your book. I'll get your address and I'll send you out mine. But
okay,
I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I look forward to you coming back on.
Oh yeah, we'll do this again. And here's the thing: again, I'll talk with whatever you want to talk about, because again, the filter since the book was written, I'm not putting the filter between my brain and my mouth back in. I'm going to be me. I'm going to say what's on my mind. And at least you'll hear from me from that unfiltered, way where it's authentic, and I'll give it to you as straight as I can and as honest as I can. If I don't have the answer, I will get it for you.
And I believe that. I mean, I already recognize that through our conversation today. So
yeah. Okay, cool.
All right, my friend. I look forward to having some communication with you and getting you back on. And
absolutely.
God bless yourself. Take care, and I wish you all the greatest success with your endeavors you got coming up we'll talk about those in the episodes coming up too, your cookbook and your smokers and all that. But I wish you nothing but success, and we'll go over a lot of those things.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, my friend. You have a great night.
You too, man.
Thanks,
Talk at you later.
Alrighty.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll be remembered, but will you? From McDonald's, the baddest I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. He'll always win, there's no going under. The top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If he dreamt before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it, let us survive. Show courage and strength, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you, always stay prepared. Bill Showman School, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.